Secret of the Whales is such a delightful experience for our ears, with all these sounds of the ocean, the seagulls, and the song of the whales, of course. So how did this natural soundscape influence your music?
That's a great question, because I actually realized recently that a lot of the illustration of the, what I call the ultimate original music, so the music of nature, so the whale singing, the waves, the wind, the everything, I didn't really try to replicate this on purpose, but then I realized that some people would come back to me and like, oh, I loved what you did with the rolls and the symbols, like to illustrate the crushing waves. And I was like, I didn't even notice that I had done that. And it's so fascinating because it is definitely what happened. I just had this instinct to use those instruments and those, patterns to try and replicate the sounds of nature that it was, hearing.
I've had the unique pleasure of working with Sigourney before. She and I worked together on the US version of Planet Earth. And so this is the second collaboration that we've worked on. And what Sigourney brings is, these stories are about families, are about community. They're about, these individual whales are working to provide for their family, to provide for their young, to provide for their community members. And having someone like Sigourney who brings that maternal caring voice to these stories is just so important. We have a scene where it's in our beluga film that it's just remarkable. We capture a baby beluga that's been born only an hour beforehand. And Sigourney has the ability to connect with the emotion. The emotion of seeing this creature as it's experiencing life in its first hour. She brings that, and it just gave so much depth and so much humanity to the films that we're just blessed that she was a part of it.
I read Ennio Morricone is basically one of your personal heroes. And also, I recently discovered that the maestro composed such a beautiful score for a movie called Orca, the Killer Whale in the 70s.
I had no idea. Really?
Yeah, that was amazing.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. He composed so many things, though. I'm not surprised that he actually touched this world as well, because he composed, like, I don't know, hundreds and hundreds of scores. So he's a genius. I am going to go and listen to it right after our call.
Yeah, you must. How does Morricone has inspired you in your career?
I think it was Morricone, but it was more generally the French Italian cinema of the 60s and 70s that really influenced me. So it was not just Morricone, it was also Nino Rota. I know that the score for Amarcord or Romeo and Juliet were huge influences to me, but also, more electronic stuff like Giorgio Moroder, so Midnight Express, for example, and also the French composers. So François de Roubaix, Georges Delerue, Georges Delerue, he scored like a lot of Truffaut films, and all this, like this era really influenced me very much without even me noticing, because I was very, very young. I think that when I was listening to Morricone when I was a kid, it was not a thing at home. So I really don't know where it came from. I don't know. My parents, they didn't even really watch movies. It was not really the thing. So music was a thing at home, but not film music. I just remember recording with my old recorder, just recording sound bites, of the music when I was watching the movies, because I think in my mind, soundtracks were not even a thing. And I think I didn't even realize that it was until I bought my first CDs of film scores. So it was, in my mind, it was even less a possibility for making, to make a living out of it. I didn't even know that it could be a job. To me, it was just a dream. It was something like magical that would happen, within the entire process of a movie. So I think that's how all these composers really influenced me. It just I was basically listening to sound bites without the images and just creating my own movies, in my mind.
What drew me to this project was whales are so iconic, and we see them in different movies and things, but we don't really understand them. And when we come to find that these cultures have the same type of emotional connections, the same bonds that we have, it it makes us connect with them even more. And seeing a whale mourning the loss of her calf, seeing the pod protect the smaller members, those are all things that we as humans can identify with. And I think that part of those emotions, I like to say, these are families and clans and communities that are working to survive and be together. And those emotions right now are really raw, particularly in a time that we've been isolated, that we've been away from our families, our loved ones, our communities. We can't hug our neighbor or hug our distant relative. And so seeing the emotions and the care and what these whales go through to protect their family, protect their community, protect their species, is something I think we can really relate to. And so I think that James is absolutely right. And the more we understand their emotions and understand how they are similar to us, the more we're going to care about them and do everything we can to protect them.
As you said before, it teaches about a whale's culture that relies heavily on sounds, these songs that resonate, travel miles away, and generate community. Yeah. So is there something about the possibilities of the whale sounds that are shared with the possibilities of the music in the human world?
Oh, what do you mean by that? Wait, I think I love this question, but I'm not sure if I understand it really well. So do you think there's a way we can replicate that in our societies? That's what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, because, well, the song of the whales are resonate and travel away and generate community.
The music between human beings.
That's it. That's the idea.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Oh, that's such a beautiful parallel that I didn't think of it, and it's beautiful. Yeah, I agree. It is to me. I don't think there is another way apart from the pure language, and still language. We don't all talk the same language, and even the whales, depending on where they live, they don't necessarily speak the same language, which is amazing too. And it's just I think it's very similar in a way that I don't think we could communicate as much as human beings if we didn't have music. And it's a beautiful way to see it, and I haven't thought of it, and I totally agree. That's, yeah, for sure.